Hey guys, Color Out Camper Man Brian here. So I am on my 700-mile journey back home from picking up my truck camper. There it is. You can see it on the back. And I figured I'd do a video here on why I got this truck camper. I know some of you guys had said, you know, just fix up your truck camper that you have right now and whatnot. And I could probably do a whole separate video on that. But obviously I chose to just go ahead and buy a new one. But anyways, I'm going to give you guys the top reasons why I decided to go ahead and just get a new truck camper. So first off, there's just way too many repairs to be done on the old truck camper. That was kind of the big thing. And the jack system was really messed up. And I figured that I probably would have had to spend at least another grand on that truck camper. And I've probably already invested $1,200 to $1,600. And I just really didn't want to spend that much money on fixing up that. So that's kind of the root behind all of this. Now, why did I choose this camper? Well, one, I drove all the way to Idaho because this price was amazing. I mean, I was about 35% lower than the Blue Book on it, and this was from a dealer. So I mean, it was just a screaming deal. It was even lower than the low retail on a Blue Book. And I got it from Camping World in Idaho Falls, and the guy told me that it was just a clearance camper. He said that they get a list from Camping World corporate that basically tells them all the rigs that they have to get rid of, and then they just clearance them out and try to get rid of them as soon as possible. So if any of you guys are ever looking for a camper, little tip is on the price. If you ever see a price that ends in 911, that means it's clearance and it's as low as it's going to be, and they need to get rid of that thing right away. So that means it's a really good deal. Now, the second reason why I bought this particular one is because it's a 2013. Now, why is that important? Well, for those of you who have purchased a used camper before, have probably heard the old saying that there's two types of campers: those that leak and those that are going to leak. And when you get a used camper, especially 10 to 15 years old or older, sometimes you're potentially just picking up somebody else's problem. I figured with the 2013, it's still new enough to where that it should almost be like new. There shouldn't be too many things, if anything, wrong with it, especially in the water damage category, because that's something that can just destroy a camper. So that's the second biggest reason why I chose this one. The third big reason is the weight. This camper weighs 1,675 pounds dry. My truck camper payload is about 2,700 pounds because I weighed my truck, and I'll put a link to a video in here on that. But I weighed my truck, and my payload capacity is 2,700 pounds. Now you might say, hey, well that's 1,000 pounds under your capacity. Well, the capacity includes the weight of the camper. It includes the weight of the passengers, the weight of your gear, water, all that stuff is included in the 2,700. So you exclude the 1,675, you're left with 1,000 pounds. If you got 4 passengers that weigh 150 each, there's another 600, and then you're left with 400 pounds for your gear and water. And I feel comfortable with those numbers. Some of the other campers I was looking at, I would have been over my GVWR easy, very easily. So that was another reason. Another big reason is the electric jacks. So you can kind of see them there. But this thing has Ryco electric jacks, and they are just amazing. I mean, when we loaded this thing up at Camping World, it was just such a breeze. And that was one of the things that I always struggled with my old truck camper, was the jack system. And I would have had to invest in some more Ryco jacks in order to get it up to where I needed it to be. And the electric jacks are so much easier. I can't even describe it. If you have electric jacks and you haven't had them before, you know what I mean. Then the last thing was the tanks and the water setup on this truck camper. Like most of you guys probably know, I camp primarily with my truck camper in the wintertime, or at least I used to. I think I'll use this more in the summertime now too. But anyways, this truck camper does not have a gray tank. It just has a fresh water tank and a black tank. Now, why that's important in the wintertime is because we can still use the sink basin. What we'll do is we'll just bring a jug of water with us, put it over the sink. We can still wash dishes in there, we can still wash our hands, and the water just shoots right outside and does not freeze any pipes or anything like that. So it's really good because you get the aspects of being able to still use the sink, but you don't have to worry about your lines freezing. The other thing I really like about this truck camper is the black tank, with where it's positioned and how small the piping is. I've actually already used it. I mean, it's like 10 degrees out right now. Last night when I spent the night in Lava Hot Springs, I was actually using the toilet. What I did was I poured about a half a gallon of RV antifreeze in there, and then each time I used the toilet, I put about 12 to 20 ounces of antifreeze in there. And I just was making sure that my antifreeze to waste ratio was more on the antifreeze side. And hopefully that will not freeze. I'm pretty sure it won't, but we'll see. I'll report back if it does, I guess. But I think it'll work just fine. So those are the main reasons. And at the end of the day, I just like the camper. I mean, I thought it was a really good layout and I really liked it. Yeah, so that's it. So if you guys have any questions about why I chose this camper or any questions about the camper in general, please post them below. Otherwise, thank you guys for checking out this video here. Subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you later.